Ravens OTA topics, Lamar Jackson isn't a top 5 quarterback, camp battles, that and much more on this episode of the Purple Rain Podcast. Welcome back to this episode of the Purple Rain Podcast, episode 243. The Jalen Hill episode, the Justice Hill episode, Raheem Mostert,
Talk to him.
Haruki Nakamura, Anthony Poindexter episode of the Purple Rain Podcast. Thank you all for coming out to this episode of the Purple Rain Podcast on this lovely Friday Eve. You can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast. Follow this guy on Instagram, on Twitter, at SuttonF. Follow me on Instagram at simplyas10.prod. And on Instagram at simplyas10.prod. And on Twitter at simplyas10. Most importantly, our sponsor, Manscaped. It is getting warm out there. Getting hot.
Getting hot. It is hot.
What does that mean? Keep yourself clean. Keep yourself looking good with Manscaped. Go stack that card up. Use code PRP. 20% off your whole order. And the free international shipping. But Sutton, so far, how was the week going, first and foremost?
Week is going well so far, man. I mean, weekend's right around the corner, so, can never complain about that. The NBA Finals starts tonight, so I am, over the moon, excited about that, ready to go. Luka and Kyrie versus Tatum and Brown and all those other guys, man, is going to be an absolute banger of a Finals. So that's really been on my mind heavily lately. But, of course, these Ravens as well, our Ravens, I'll say. Our Ravens have definitely been weighing on my mind kind of heavily, and I've been noticing, right? So I've been noticing the NFL content and kind of the preseason hot takes. They've been heating up, they've been heating up, and it's only June, but it kind of makes me feel like football season is right around the corner, right? I mean, we really only have a good 2 more months left, if that, until we start seeing preseason games, so I'm excited as hell, honestly. There's been some crazy stuff coming out about these quarterback lists, these top 5 lists from these professional analysts, whatever you want to call them, right? Mainstream media guys. But we'll get into all of that. But like I said, man, to wrap it all up, I am feeling good. I hope the Rain Gang is feeling even better. We're gonna go ahead and bring up who's here in the live chat as we normally do. Tanja Bowman gets the first shout out of the night. Says, "What's up, PRP? What's going on, Tanja? Appreciate you for coming through each and every time. We appreciate that." Tim Hughes in the house says, "What's up today? How you doing tonight?" Doing well, man. How you doing? Let us know. Let us know. We got my guy Chike in the house. What's up, Chike? Says, "What's up, Ray? Let's get the week 1 win over the back-to-back champs." Yes, man. I mean, that's also something that's in the back of my mind too. I know Lamar Jackson says he doesn't care, and I know I said I didn't care about the regular season, especially after that playoff loss last year. But no, man, we are full speed ahead. I'm ready for this team. It's a new team. I feel like there's new life that's going to be, breathed into this team with the addition of a Derrick Henry, with Rashad Bateman coming back, kind of revitalized off of this new contract. The 3rd year of Isaiah Likely. There's a lot to look forward to on this offense, and even on the defense as well. I don't even have to get started on the playmakers, the studs that are on defense. But yeah, man, Chike, I'm thinking about that as well. Jamari Lewis joining us from X. What's going on, Jamari? Oh, yeah, that's right. You can join us from X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. We do live stream on there as well. Says, "Who you got tonight?" I guess talking about the NBA Finals. You know what, man? I'm going to go with the Dallas Mavericks tonight. I'm normally I want to go. So my heart says Dallas, right, in this series, but my mind says the Celtics, right? But I tend to go with my heart, especially when it comes to sports outside of football, because I don't claim to be as knowledgeable about those sports, right? So, when it comes to basketball, I'm going to have to, or the finals, I'm going to have to say Dallas because I'm going with my heart in this one. But who do you got?
Oh, the Mavericks. I'm a Celtics hater. Not a fan of Boston sports. And yeah, give me Luka and Kyrie, please. I need that. Nothing would make me happier than a Game 5 win in Boston, and it's them winning the series, and Kyrie wins it in Boston. That's my hope. I hope Kyrie wins it in Boston.
Yeah, tons
just
of
as a big middle
storylines too.
finger.
Tons of storylines.
Yeah,
Kyrie
yeah,
returning to Boston. Shoot, I mean, Kristaps Porzingis playing against his old team in
true,
Dallas. Like,
true.
there's a lot to look forward to in this series. Lots of stories. There's going to be lots of emotions. Luka Doncic is going to bring it. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, they're going to show up. Hopefully, we'll see about Jason Tatum. The jury's still out on him for me, but we'll see about that. We don't want to spend too much time on that. We'll probably touch on it again in the latter half of the episode. But yeah, let's go ahead and get to some Ravens talk. So listen, Alex, today is the second to last day of the Ravens OTAs, right? So OTAs, organized training activities, have been going on for the past couple of weeks at the castle up in Baltimore. And they're coming to an end now. And I guess next we have training camp to look forward to.
Indeed.
When is training camp? When does that start out? You know when that starts? Is there a date on that?
I think like Hart was talking about next week or something like that because he's like Marlon's going to be back next week. I can get our dates pulled up real quick, but it's coming soon.
Yeah, I definitely want to see when we're going to be starting training camp, when those guys are going to be putting the pads on, as you guys can see here, or the OTAs videos put together by the Ravens media and also our guy Simply AS10 stitching it all together for us. Shout out to Simply AS10. Make sure you subscribe to him on YouTube per usual. You guys know the drill. Over 100,000 subscribers and counting. Our guy.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mandatory minicamp, June 11th to 13th.
June 11th to 13th. Okay. So mandatory minicamp, June 11th to 13th. But they're not putting on pads for that, though, right?
I don't believe so.
I don't think they put on pads for that, no. Like, actual training camp probably doesn't start until maybe late June, early July, something like that.
July 26th.
July 26th. Okay. Why does that seem late? I don't know. It seems late to me.
No, it definitely does. But it sounds about right because like the stadium practices were like late July, early August. So it does check out.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought it was like mid-July.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Not late.
But hey, I mean, the more rest for our guys, I guess the better, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to win Super Bowls, not be preseason champs and regular season champs, to be honest with you. So, all right. Now, a couple of things that I saw on the interwebs today, right? So our guy, Ravens beat writer Jonas Schaefer, reported a few things about some highlights that he saw from OTAs today. So I'm just going to kind of read through a couple of them. The first one being that I guess the biggest highlight of today coming out of Ravens OTAs was Charlie Kohler diving for a touchdown catch in a goal line drill today, despite being held as well. And he also then punted the ball as far as he could in celebration. So, I guess a little big ups to Charlie Kohler there, and attaboy for him. I was telling you before the stream started, man, just the litany of just good tight ends, solid tight ends that we have on this team, man. It's really second to none in the league. When you look at like a tight end room, nobody is comparing to Baltimore. Is that accurate?
That's not a crazy statement to say. I think we're the only team with possibly 2 starting caliber tight ends in our team.
Yeah.
Andrew's likely.
I mean, well, you got like what, Dawson Knox and Kincaid, right?
That's a good one. But I think that's a real good one, actually. But I think Kincaid's taking over that role this year. Good point.
And then honestly, it's true. By Thanksgiving, we'll know if the Raiders have something in Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers.
I think they underutilized Michael Mayer so bad last year.
They do, yeah.
He if you put him in this offense, he's absolutely feasting. Absolutely feasting. But going back to Kolar, once he got the cornrows, he's been acting different. I'm just gonna say it. I'll put it out there. We've been traveling around, catching touchdowns, punting balls. Is it Charlie Kolar breakout season upon us? And that is honestly the biggest question of the offseason right now for me. And I think it may be. Not a huge breakout season,
tough,
but I think he could be a chain
mover.
I was being kind of facetious with that. I was kind of facetious. But I think he'll
more so like a red zone threat. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they might plug him in like red zone plays where, where defenses are really going to be trying to key in on like a Mark Andrews. Okay, where's Zay Flowers at? Rashad Bateman, where is he? What is he doing? But a Charlie Kolar, he could easily replace Likely on a play because Likely is going to get us down the field. He's going to get us those yards, right? But he could easily come in and replace Likely on like a 2 tight end set, right, in the red zone. And, I doubt he's going to be one of the most accounted for guys in that Ravens pass catching group, deep in the red zone. So I could see him catching a couple touchdowns. If I had to guess the amount of touchdowns that Charlie Kolar is going to score for the Ravens this season, I would give Charlie Kolar, playoffs included. Granted,
I don't
right?
think I don't think he's seeing play time in the playoffs. To be honest,
Well,
I'll
I
go
mean, but
3.
I was
3.
gonna say 3. I was gonna say
I'll go
3.
3.
But you don't know, Al. I mean, you don't know. I feel like Todd Monken is the type of guy who he will hit you with a secret weapon when the time is right. And not to say that Charlie Kolar has proven to be some sort of secret weapon, and it's just OTAs, right? I know I sound like I'm overreacting to this diving touchdown catch in OTAs, right? But I don't know, man. I just feel like the amount of weapons, viable weapons on this offense, outside of even just the tight ends, man. Todd Monken knows that he's got to spread this ball around. He's got to grant Lamar Jackson the ability to establish some sort of confidence and rhythm with some more of these playmakers, man. Because honestly, if we're being dead honest about a guy like Isaiah Likely, he might price himself out of Baltimore. We're paying Mark
Oh, he's
Andrews.
going to.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing for us, and this might be an uncomfortable conversation. I'm not going to sound like that fan. I love Mark Andrews. His contract's up in like a year or two. With all that being said, so I think the Ravens could have a tough decision to make. Either you pay Andrews again or you pay Likely. You know what I mean? So I don't know what's going to happen there. Mark is Lamar's right-hand man, his go-to guy. I feel like we keep him. But I think if Likely continues this trajectory, 1,000,000% he'll price himself out of Baltimore. And with the way contracts are going, 13 to 14 million a year for a guy like him. With the way the market is going, with what you're seeing, some of these tight ends that are not even on Mark Andrews' level getting, Likely will get that 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and he deserves it too. I mean, I rewatched that play against the Dolphins last season where he gets that one-handed catch and takes it in for the touchdown. Man, I mean, how many tight ends do you know are doing that? When you really think back to some of the things that Isaiah Likely does, like he is almost like just a bigger wide receiver. Some of the plays that he's able to make, they're kind of like reminiscent of like watching just a good big body receiver. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. Like you make some good points, but I think we also agree he will price himself out of Baltimore, which will leave the Ravens in a tricky spot. Mark Andrews will be getting older. So what do they do from there? I don't think that Charlie Kolar is going to be the guy, right? So like you said, I think they'll probably draft like some tough kid from out of somewhere in second or third round, maybe. I'm thinking, and try to develop him because I mean, the Ravens have always been good at developing tight ends, right? So yeah, we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, and just one more touching on that.
Sure.
I was the game against the Jags last year. I think we had Kolar lined up as a tight end, and like Likely was lined up in the slot. I'm pretty sure, and he caught a touchdown on a go route. It was in the red zone. He caught that. Like it's stuff like that where like if we can get creative with Likely, you can line them up as a receiver, and hopefully he gets a mismatch. Hopefully, there's a small guy on him, allow him to be physical. That's kind of up to Todd Monken and what he sees this offense doing, which, I mean, we both trust him, so I think he did the right thing. But, and then they said Mark Andrews was looking better and better, which is a great thing to hear because I'll be honest, like, I kind of forgot about him, not in the sense that, like, he's a Raven, but it's like, wow, it's another guy coming back. The same way, to me, it really still hasn't hit me Derrick Henry's a Raven. It won't hit me until the first, like, snap we see him in a Ravens uniform, padded up. It still hasn't really settled into me. I don't know about you, but I'm happy that he is a Raven. It's just like you want to. For me, I have a PTSD of what happens in training camp, and we both know what that is. It's happened to us years prior, but last year we were putting on the I words. But this year, man, like if we can get out there healthy, we can definitely make some noise. And I still think we have a signing or two up our sleeve. I know Dalton Reisner got re-signed by the Vikings, but there's definitely one or two more signings to really just put the finishing touches on this team, put the icing on the cake, the cherry on top. So I'm waiting and sitting back for that. As of right now, I'm liking what I'm hearing.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Tanja says, no, we cannot let Likely leave. He's younger. We need to keep him. We don't pay receivers, so pay Likely. Uh, I, I think that Isaiah Likely, he's one of those guys that the Ravens will do everything in their power to keep him. You
Yep.
know, he is a Raven. He is the guy in the locker room who all the other guys like, you know what I'm saying? I've heard that he's like one of the funnier guys. He's got a good sense of humor. So I think that the Ravens will do their due diligence in trying to keep Isaiah Likely in Baltimore, which is, you know, I think that's the best for everybody, to be honest with you. They'll take care of him maybe in a similar way that they took care of Rashad Bateman, although
Mm.
Isaiah Likely has actually produced on a much grander scale than Bateman. No shade to Bateman. You know, we've had multiple episodes talking about Bateman and how we expect him to be better this year, but just talking about the facts, right?
Yeah, and since you brought up Bateman, did you see the Bleacher Report article about him?
No.
So it was just kind of putting together trades, and they suggested we trade Bateman and a second or third round pick for like one of these receivers that might want to get out of
Oh,
there.
I did hear about that actually. Yeah.
And
No.
it it's one thing if we didn't just pay him 3 years, 15 million.
Yeah.
That I would 100% get it. We just extended him for a reason. If he was going into his 5th year and we declined it, or even we picked it up and you want to trade him, I'm all for it. But we just extended him. That was just very, very lazy reporting. I didn't like that at all. Um, I feel like even if you got a receiver out of that, who is it? Who is that receiver? Because all the top tier ones have been moved or been paid by now. So who's out there that you would trade for on June
Yeah.
6th, 2024?
Yeah. I mean, nobody that I know of that I would want over Rashad Bateman. I mean, Rashad Bateman's our guy. Let me see. So another thing that we are gonna go ahead and touch on, Jeremiah W brings it up here. I was impressed
Yeah.
with Voorhees' press conference. So yeah, Andrew Voorhees also spoke today, saying that his rehab mindset changed from why to why not over the past year. And he spent a lot of time in the weight room, and he also leaned on veterans like Ronnie Stanley for counsel, which is news. You know, we kind of talked about it before we went on air here, Alex. That's big, you know, because a lot of the fan base was, you know, have their reservations about Ronnie Stanley or Ronnie Stanley for this reason or the other. But to see that he's still bought in as a Raven and that he's mentoring the younger guys that are coming in, like an Andrew Voorhees, that's big. That's huge. What do you think about that, though?
Yeah, it is. And we know Stanley's going to be our left tackle. And I know we've both really big upped him on the contract he took, which he's a free agent for this year. And it's a lot of his, the money he's making is incentive based. It's performance based. It's how many games he plays. It's how well he plays. It's whether, he makes a Pro Bowl or not, whether he plays this amount of games, which in this stage of his career, I don't think he had to do that, but he did. And much respect to him. I see Tanja brings it up. There was like a batted pass Ronnie Stanley caught and did a spin move. That's more athleticism we've seen in the past year. I'm lying because there was a fantastic block he had against the Lions last year, but just for stream purposes, I'm gonna say it. But that's honestly good to hear. I mean, do you think if he wasn't healthy, he would have been doing spin moves in training camp? Honestly, he wouldn't have. Like he just would have caught the ball and probably went down. But to me, that means he's feeling good. It's just small stuff like that. He's feeling good, and it's something that we really haven't been able to say for how long. K-Dog says he's playing for his football life. He is. If that's the one right there. Because let's say he has a bad year, he'll be a backup for another team. I don't think he'll start. But that is good to see, and much respect to him for being a mentor on that line because he is the vet of that line now. Morgan Moses is no longer there. Like it's Ronnie Stanley and a bunch of young guys at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. That's and the offensive line is something that we're gonna have to keep a very, very close eye on, especially going into, I think, in the preseason, but also in early in the regular season as well. Because as we all know, an offensive line, a good offensive line, takes a little bit of time to gel, you know, especially when they're kind of just starting out together. So there might be some growing pains, but luckily we do have a quarterback who can kind of uh, put a little bit of makeup on a bad offensive line, on an ugly offensive line play, you know, with Lamar Jackson's ability to kind of move around and his escapability, things like that. Now you brought up something before we went live here. What was another thing that was coming out of OTAs, Alex?
Oh, about the line?
No, 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 no. Not. I don't think it was about the line. It was about something else. I think it was about about offense skill players. No, the receivers, the rookies.
Oh, yes. I thought you were talking about Falele real quick. He actually struggled in practice. I want to bring
Oh,
that up. While we're on the
Falele. Yeah,
line,
yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah,
yeah. You
while
did
we're on the
say
topic
that.
of the line,
Yeah.
Falele had a struggling practice. Was getting beat, and I don't want to put too much into it because it's shirt and shorts, but hopefully he can turn it around because as of right now, he has a great position, I think, or a great he's in a great position to win the right tackle spot. Between him and Roger Rosengarten, which you've had 2 years prior already in the league. So if you could win that right tackle spot, have a good year this year and next year, tackles get paid in this league. Look how much Orlando Brown made, and he was playing a little bit above average, not
Yeah.
elite by any means, but above average. So I'm hoping that same thing happens to him. But yes, I do want to talk about the rookies, and I think this is going to be one of the more intriguing storylines of I'd say our training camp. Devontae Walker against TJ Tampa.
Mhm.
Devontae Walker, fourth round pick against TJ Tampa, fourth round pick. Both could be classified as steals. Both fell.
Yeah.
TJ Tampa more than Tez Walker, but they were battling. Tez Walker, I think, got the better of him twice, and then TJ Tampa had a fantastic pass breakup. That's iron sharpening iron right there. I love how it's two rookies going against each other. And we know TJ Tampa is physical. So if Tez Walker is winning some of these, he's just as physical as well. So that's really good to hear. Once again, I don't want to put too much stock into it, but it makes me happy. It makes me excited that our rookies are just going against each other and producing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And actually Ravens head coach John Harbaugh had a little bit to say about Devontae Walker squaring up against TJ Tampa in OTAs. Let's listen.
We've seen Devontae Walker and TJ Tampa matched up a number of times. What are you seeing out of both of those guys?
I think they're both TJ and Tez are both doing a great job of taking one step at a time and getting better every single day. It's not competitive in the sense, if there's a deep ball thrown down the field, the DB's not trying to take the ball away. So you got to understand that. So we expect those catches to be made. But we want it made, and we want the DB right there in position with his eyes on the football. I think both those guys have gotten better every day with technique and assignment. Probably all the rookies ahead of where we would have expected in those two areas.
Coach Mark Andrews. That's fantastic to hear, number one.
Yeah, for sure.
Our rookies being ahead of where they expected, especially skills. That's good. And if it was a real, a game scenario, they probably have safety help as well. But who knows? I think Tez Walker probably would get more one-on-ones if he's getting play time like that. So that's good to hear. And seeing Harbaugh, give him his props. Maybe, just maybe, Tez Walker doesn't get buried on the special teams depth chart. Just maybe. A man can dream.
Right. And it's funny. They also talked about in that press conference with John Harbaugh just now about how the new kickoff rule, right? And just a little sidebar: Justin Tucker he's apparently putting on more weight because there's going to be a higher chance that he's going to be have to make some tackles, things like that, hit some guys, which I don't necessarily love to hear, to be honest with you, but it is what it is. But back to what I was saying though, I mean, some of these newer skill position guys like a Devontae Walker, they could put him in at like a kick return, you know what I mean, or something like. And really, all it takes is just make one big play. You make one play, you will be afforded an opportunity on this team. And it's going to start in preseason, so I hope that he is like an electric standout in preseason. Like he's one of those type of guys who's just making plays left and right. That way, Harbaugh will grant him a chance, and Todd Monken will try to work him into the offense in some way, shape, or form. But those are my hopes for a Devontae Walker. But I do like to hear what John Harbaugh was saying, that both of those guys day to day are kind of getting better when it comes to like technique and things like that, kind of working their way into being true professionals. That's something that we always love to hear. So we'll see how that translates to this mandatory mini camp that's coming up in the next couple of days. We'll see how that translates to training camp that starts at the end of July, then going into preseason, so on and so forth.
Yeah. Can I pose this question to you real quick?
Sure.
Offensively, do you think Tez Walker is going to have the most eyes on him preseason, as from a fan point? Do you think it'd be Tez Walker? Do you think it'd be somebody on the line? You know what I mean? Like, there's always that one player that we really like. We zero in on in preseason. Like, let's see if they can do this.
Yeah, I think it'll probably end up being Tez Walker. I mean, but also it depends on who you ask, right? So if you ask like probably like the casual Ravens fan, you know what I mean? They're gonna go, oh yeah, Tez Walker for sure. I'm tuning in to see like when he gets the ball, what does he do with it? But for guys like us and the Rain Gang, people who are like really locked in with the Ravens, that offensive line needs some work. It's gonna be basically tryouts on some of those spots on the offensive line during preseason. So we're gonna be keeping a very, very close eye on that. So yeah, that's my answer on that.
Yeah. I feel like last year, I think Keaton Mitchell was the guy I know we were looking at. And I'm hoping Tez Walker's like last year's Keaton Mitchell. Hope he makes some big plays. Hope he doesn't get hurt. But I hope we see plays like, you know what? He'll make the team. Well, he's going to make the team, obviously, but he has what it takes to play in the big games.
Yeah.
And like you said, with the line, 100%. Rosengarten, yeah. The right tackle spot is a question mark. I feel like it's Rosengarten's right now just because he's a second-round pick. But if Falele or – I know we signed the one guy who used to play for the Texans and Cardinals. I don't have his name. We signed him like a week in a free agency. I forget his name, but I know he could be a shout for it. And then obviously we have our center and left tackle lockdown. But even then, like, is Ben Cleveland going to be our starting guard?
Yeah.
I don't even know there. I still don't trust this line outside of center and left tackle. And that's kind of worrying to me.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, again, that's just another one of those things. We'll see. We're not going to be able to see too much out of training camp. We'll hear I can tell you what we're going to hear out of training camp. It's going to be a whole lot of Odafe Owe terrorizing the offense, a whole lot of batted passes to start out, and then you're going to see some touchdowns to some Charlie Collars of the world and things like that. That's just kind of how it's going to progress. Just my prediction. But we'll see. Training camp starts next month, as Alex said. I think he said July 26th, I want to say.
Always slander wasn't needed right there. It's like,
I'm just saying, man, but it's coming. It's coming. So
if a certain number 3 was still on the team, it would have been the James Prochet one-handed catches. God, I love me some Prochet. Wish it would have translated over into the game. But I hope we don't have any of those, any of the receivers that are just shown out in training camp and in the game. Just don't see it.
Right. Yeah. Let me see. Tim Hughes saying here, I like hearing the fact that our coaches and players are working in conjunction with each other to figure out our new special teams out. Yeah, that's big. That's big. And, Harbaugh was asked about that, as like a former special teams guy or as a special teams specialist, if you want to say, is he excited to kind of implement some new things to kind of out scheme the other coaches with this new kickoff rule? And he, in a nutshell, basically said, yeah. But I'm hoping, Sutton Def, I'm hoping that he's got something up his sleeve as a special teams technician, as a special teams specialist. Again, I need to see something different. Like if this is your thing, you're not an offensive coach, you're not a defensive head coach. Like your expertise comes from special teams. So I want to see something special from John Harbaugh. We'll see what he has to offer come regular season time.
Yeah, and just seeing all the teams that are really putting a lot of just eggs into the special teams basket, I think that's why the Chiefs re-signed McCole Hardman today, 1,000,000%, with the expectation that he will be, on kick returns, and it's why the Bills signed, and they signed somebody, and then that's why the Jets signed Tariq Cohen. That's why we signed Deontay Hardy. It's like the kick returner isn't just your third or fourth string running back or receiver or quarterback. They got to be, special in, put the special in special teams. But yeah. And I think, personally, I would like somebody else returning kicks, but hopefully Deontay Hardy does it. And John Harbaugh, show us why you were a special teams coach, And I think he should have something dialed up. Not sure, if they will, but hopefully pulled out at the right time in a game where, we got to have a good return, get us in a good field position, maybe before halftime. Wouldn't hate it. But yeah, Harbaugh, this is your time to shine.
Absolutely. Okay, let's go ahead and switch gears here to something that has been kind of the hot topic on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Just the interwebs, right? NFL Twitter. these top 5 quarterback lists, right? So it is that time of year where, talks of football are heating up. Like I led the episode with, guys. I mean, people are starting to talk about football again. Football season, you can kind of smell it, right? The analysts, they're talking about it more. There's more segments about it. So yeah, it's right around the corner, and these guys are dropping these lists. Now, two notable lists that came out this week and last week, CJ Stroud and Nick Wright. So we all know CJ Stroud, Houston Texans quarterback, young all-star quarterback, to be honest with you. And then Nick Wright, who is a analyst for Fox Sports 1 on the show First Things First and many other podcasts as well. Now, I wanted to bring up the one from Nick Wright first. I want us to go ahead and kind of listen to that one. This is streaming on Twitter, so the video might be choppy, but it's really just more so about the audio here. Let's go ahead and hold on. Let me share this audio. Give me a second. Yeah, but I mean, overall, man, I mean, just before we even get into it, Alex, what are you thinking about these June takes?
You always know, like, football season is like not in season when these absolute horrific takes come out. You know it's warm outside. You know it's summer outside. When you have top 10 lists going around, quarterback rankings going around, safety rankings going around, which I saw. I saw Hamilton was the ranked number 2 safety, which is absolutely hilarious to me. I'll let you play this.
Oh yeah, let's see if it'll.
You said your top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL are Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, and Stroud, with the 5th spot
Can you
up
hear
in the
it,
air.
Alex?
Nick's 5th best quarterback
Okay.
is.
I'd probably go Caleb, but if you guys don't want me to put a rookie, I'll say Stafford. And I know people think I'm being disrespectful to Lamar. I'm just being honest.
What exactly does Lamar need to do to be a top 5 quarterback?
I mean, I don't know. Not every single year have the worst game of his season in the playoffs.
Wait, what'd you say?
Sorry.
What did you say?
Every single year of his career. I mean, he scored more than 10 points in a home conference championship game. I don't know. I like Lamar. I root for Lamar. If I'm being honest, do I think he's one of the 5 best quarterbacks in football? I don't.
Trust. Yesterday on TV, you said your top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL are Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, and Stroud, with the 5th spot up in the air.
That is a lot, for sure. That is a lot. Hold on.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
I don't like to give these things attention online. I just kind of like scroll by them. I didn't even notice a video until I kind of saw the short you put up. Honestly, I didn't even pay attention to it. Like, my feed right now, I try to get just a decent amount of football because genuinely I'm out of season. But let me just go first real quick with Nick Wright. A known Chiefs fan, by the way. Known Chiefs fan. No,
right.
So let's just get that out the way. There's a little bit of bias there. Let's not sit here and act like there isn't. Lamar is number 2 quarterback in my ranking, personally behind Mahomes. The need for him to put him down was kind of uncalled for. And him saying, I like him, no, you don't, bro. Like, if you're going to sit here and put a quarterback behind Mahomes is Lamar in wins. And I bet you if you talk about Mahomes, bring every win that Mahomes has, and saying in the playoffs, in the biggest games, brother, did Lamar not put up 4 touchdowns in the divisional game? 4, 2 running, 2 passing. Team won his back second half. Ran it in when there wasn't there passing. And okay, put up 10 points in the conference championship game. You put CJ Stroud. How many points did CJ Stroud put up against the Ravens in the playoffs? Since that's when it matters. 3 points.
Yeah.
3 points against the Ravens. The only touchdown was special teams. Not trying to clown on CJ Stroud. I'm a fan of him. Josh Allen. What has Josh Allen done in the playoffs besides losing to the Chiefs in overtime? What is his biggest? I want to know.
You're right.
Josh Allen.
Yeah.
And Joe Burrow, I like him too. You take away 2021 from Joe Burrow. Please tell me what he has done.
And see, I don't even like taking things away from guys. You know what I mean? Because like somebody could easily be like, take away Lamar's 2019 MVP, and then we'd be upset.
There we go. Take it away. Take away pre-COVID Lamar stats. I'll look at 2020, 21, 22, 23. Number 1 team every single year before he went down.
Yeah, I mean, it really, for Nick Wright to say something like this, it really just screams like, I'm doing it for clicks. I'm doing it for attention. Like I referred to him as Click Right earlier in my short, and I think it fits. It's fitting for him because that was a take where you would only hear it in June, right? Not only because during the football season, obviously Lamar's going to be killing it, so you can't say something like that without looking batshit crazy. But you know, just because it's the off season, man. It's the off season and it's June, right? I mean, there's literally after the NBA Finals goes off, these analysts are going to be struggling to find something to talk about. So why not stir up shit about Lamar? They've been doing it for years now. We're kind of used to it. But again, here's the thing I said in the short earlier. Um, I don't like how a lot of these analysts, they will try to hedge their bets on Lamar as much as they possibly can. You see a guy like Nick Wright, he did it. Mike Florio does it as well. Sims, to a certain degree, kind of does it too, kind of dances around it. What they do is they kind of they talk down on Lamar in some sort of way. And then right after they talk down on him, they try to reframe it as, oh, but I care for Lamar. I like Lamar. I want to see him do so well. And it's just like, no, bro, no, you don't. If you're leaving him out of your top 5, you root for Lamar, seriously? But he's not in your top 5 quarterback list. You put Caleb Williams, a guy who has never played an NFL down before, ahead of him. You put a CJ Stroud, a guy who was 0-2 in his career against Lamar Jackson head to head, ahead of him. I don't even feel like arguing about Josh Allen and Joe Burrow right now. I mean, I can make a damn good argument that he's ahead of both of those guys too. And most people would agree with me, right? Especially after last season. But just to put Caleb Williams and CJ Stroud above a Lamar Jackson is completely asinine. It's ridiculous that you would not put Lamar Jackson at 2 after Patrick Mahomes. But maybe you feel like there's a threat to the crown. I don't know. Nick Wright, of course, your team is the one with the rings. Hats off to you. But you know damn well what happened in that second half of that AFC Championship game. Your boy didn't score not a damn point. Not a single point, right? A shutout was pitched in the second half, right? Now, shout out to your defense. Kudos to your defense. But this year, if we're in the same position, second half, Ravens are down 7, and we can stall out y'all's defense, y'all are not stalling out a healthy Derrick Henry. It's just as simple as that. If he's healthy going into that game and we can grind on you with a Derrick Henry, granted, Keaton Mitchell, things like that, it's going to be a different story. So, again, to wrap it all up, this was a June take from Nick Wright. I don't even believe that he believes what he's saying here. And, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, no, that's 100% facts. And I didn't want to, go down on throw down like Burrow and Allen. I think they're fantastic quarterbacks, but just for him to say that, that was just awful. Like the Stroud stuff was like putting him above Lamar is insane, bro. Like, right. And like, I have no problem with the Stafford. Like Stafford, and I'm not going to slander him because he saved me, a Ravens fan, from the Bengals getting a ring, which I'll forever be grateful for him for. But yeah, Lamar too. You can't get mad at that. Mahomes is undoubtedly the one right now, and if you put Lamar 2, 3, or 4, guess what? I won't argue with you. But I think he's 100% a top 5 quarterback.
Has to be.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't make sense for him to not be in your top 5 quarterbacks. It just doesn't make sense. Now,
like you said with the whole hedging stuff, he didn't say one positive thing about Lamar, but then go say, oh, well, I want him to. You didn't even say, well, he showed me signs of, progressing as a passer last year, which I think he has for the past couple of years.
Right.
Outside the numbers. Only thing that, we've both agreed is the deep pass. Once he would get that down, not many weaknesses of Lamar Jackson. But he has
to. And I knew, like, when I said like hedging the bets, like you said, Nick Wright didn't really say anything positive about him, but he leaves himself an out by saying, hey, I'm rooting for Lamar Jackson. Mm-hmm. So, 4 months from now, when Lamar Jackson is on another MVP run, hopefully, right? As Ravens fans, hopefully, he can kind of walk back what he was saying. Like, this whole time I've been rooting for Lamar. I think he's making strides. He, this and that and the third, and we'll have to let him get away with it. That's just how sports, media works, and it sucks. But I want to go ahead and I want to get to the other top 5 quarterback lists that came out. This one actually coming from CJ Stroud himself. And you guys can actually see the list here. Let me scroll down a little bit. So he posted this on his Instagram story. He says top 5 quarterbacks off of last year. Number 1 being Patrick Mahomes. Number 2, rightfully so, being Lamar Jackson. Funny that's coming from CJ Stroud himself, right? Number 3, he puts himself, CJ Stroud. Number 4, Josh Allen. And number 5, Dak Prescott. Now, we have to keep in mind, this is going off of last year. So if we're just taking stock off of last year and not necessarily how we feel about these quarterbacks in their totality, this list is not bad.
No,
It's not bad.
I'm laughing because it's a black screen. I'm just imagining CJ Stroud like taking his phone on Instagram, putting it down on something to get the black screen, taking a picture, and then typing. I'm just picturing him just going, and then just start type. I don't think this isn't a bad list at all. I think if Jalen Hurts and the Eagles didn't collapse those final 2 or 3 games before the playoffs, I definitely think he would make a case for 5. But Dak at 5, and 5 is such a toss-up. I think if Burrow's healthy, he's at a 5 possibly. I thought he was playing well before he went down. As for other quarterbacks, I mean, we don't know with Aaron Rodgers. I think Stafford had a pretty good year last year as well. But this isn't a bad list at all. I'm cool with Josh Allen at 4. Just get rid of those turnovers, and I'd 100% solidified that. Him at 3, I'm not mad at that either because he absolutely turned up. Hell, I think if you go off his stats last year, Joe Flacco was probably a top 10 quarterback because of how well he played at the end of the season. But I don't hate this at all.
Yeah. Very respectable, commendable list here by CJ Stroud. And, just kind of talking about CJ Stroud just a little bit more. I'm excited for just the AFC in general. I know the AFC is a powerhouse. It is an absolute gauntlet. And a part of me, a small piece of me, hates that my team has to go through this every single season. But man, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool to see how much talent gets funneled through this conference, man. And just to see a young, I don't want to necessarily call him like a phenom yet or anything like that. I want to see what he does with the whole sophomore slump narrative that's going to be surrounding him going into the season. Does he perform? Now he's got Stephon Diggs now. Joe Mixon is in the fold now for the Texans. They're going to look really, really. Is there anybody I'm missing of like notable that I'm missing? I know I'm missing somebody.
Tank Dell, Nico Collins.
Well, yeah, Tank Dell. I was thinking like new additions, but no, like
I mean, defensively, I thought they got better, but offensively, they also have John Mechie and Robert Woods still. They have 5 really good receivers, and then Dalton Schultz.
It's something I have to go back and watch. Jeremiah brings it up here. CJ diced up those Charlie Browns. I have to go back and watch that game because I feel like I didn't really get to sit and live. I got to watch I got to sit down and watch CJ Stroud play a little bit more, I've kind of done it with all the other top AFC quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, of course, Lamar Jackson, Herbert, guys like that. But CJ Stroud, I really got to, dive into his tape more. What were you about to say, though?
I thought my favorite CJ Stroud game last year against the Buccaneers, when he bowled them back, that was a back and forth game. If you can watch that game, it was
I'll watch that one too.
38. It was like 10 seconds left. He scored, threw a touchdown to Tank Dell. But yeah, the Texans to me are scary. I kind of just, my final point, just looking at the AFC next year, teams I'm looking forward to playing, obviously all the North teams, healthy Bengals, looking to see what they do without Higgins if he goes. But I'm looking forward to see Jamar Chase because I think you saw how much Justin Jefferson got paid.
Yeah.
I'm looking to see what Jamar Chase does because that's a lot of money. I think, he's up there, top 5 receiver, I think. Steelers, new look Steelers, that they'll be fun to play against.
Yeah.
The Browns, obviously, if Sean Watson, is actually a mirror of what he used to be. And then just looking down, we get the Texans in Christmas. I was losing that game, how good they are. And then you have the whole Aaron Rodgers-led Jets, the Bills that we play week 4. I'm looking forward to that in Baltimore. This conference is so stacked.
Yeah.
Look at the Chiefs week 1. Thankfully, we don't play the Dolphins. So I'm cool with that. But, man, the AFC is so fucking tough.
It is, man. But it creates for really good television, really good games, man. So I'm excited to see what comes of that. Now, I want to go ahead and shift gears from these lists,
yeah.
right? All these lists,
Yes.
from all these guys. Football season is right around the corner. I'm excited about
Yes.
that, but there are some other things we got to get into, some other topics, right? And we're going to go ahead and kick off the question segment of the show, of the episode, episode 243. Listen, if you're watching live right now, thank you so much. Welcome to the show. If you are new to the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel, go ahead and hit that like button if you are enjoying the content. If you're also enjoying the content, hit that subscribe button too. I mean, that helps us out a ton as well. We'd appreciate it. As this season rolls around, we got a lot of cool things lined up for you guys. Now, listen, drop your questions down below. I want to ask Alex first. I want to go to Alex first on this one. UFC 303 was last weekend, and I didn't get to really talk to you too much about it. We kind of texted a little bit after the fight about the Islam thing. What were your thoughts on that Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier fight?
I'm a casual. Number one, let me get this out of the way.
Okay.
I wanted Dustin Poirier to win because I can respect grappling, but it's just not entertaining for me. The same way how I respect people when they watch soccer, they want to see goals, but I can enjoy a good defensive game. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't expecting it to go to 5 rounds. Honestly, I thought it was gonna be 2 or 3, but that was a hell of a fight. And like you texted me, with Islam, with his cardio to put him in a submission in the 5th and get him, hats off, respect to him. Fantastic fighter. That was such a good main event, and pass off to Poirier for dealing with a broken nose. What did he tear an ACL or something? He said,
yeah, partially torn ACL.
Dude, he's
shattered
a
nose,
freaking warrior. Fantastic main event. Hats off to both of them.
Yeah, it was definitely, it was worth staying up for. I stayed up until the wee hours of the night. I mean, it was like 1 o'clock or something like that by the time that fight went off, but it was worth every minute of it, man. It was worth every round. And you know, you say you were casual, and so that way, you know, that means that you don't really like the grappling as much as some of maybe like the hardcore MMA fans do. And that's definitely understandable. But I think that the difference with the grappling from these Russians, these Dagestani fighters, they find a way to make the grappling entertaining, at least for me and a lot of other like kind of halfway fans. Because I'm not gonna say like I'm a hardcore, like I know every guy on the UFC roster type of fan, but I'm also not like necessarily, I wouldn't consider myself a casual because I've been watching for a long time. I know ins and outs of the sport, things like that. But as one of those guys who's kind of like halfway in between the two, right? I think that those Russian guys, especially like the Habibs, the Islam, you know, the Usman Nurmagomedovs, those guys, they don't just, they don't wrestle you to just lay on top of you. You know, they wrestle you to gain dominant positions, to smash you, quite literally smash you. That is their goal, to gain a position to where you cannot move, and I'm either raining down shots on you and it just looks absolutely ruthless and primal, or I am going to find a way to choke you out in some creative fashion. And we've seen it time and time again. One of my favorites of all time, and this is something that, you know, I would like you to go and watch maybe sometime after this, Alex. Khabib Nurmagomedov, and you might have seen this before. Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Justin Gaethje. This happened over COVID, and you know, Khabib won. Spoiler alert. I mean, he never lost, so you probably already knew that. But the submission that he put Justin Gaethje in was just so creative, and it's just, you watch UFC or MMA, right, with somebody who's never watched it before. These guys can put somebody in a choke that does not even look like a choke, right? And that's one of the most entertaining parts. Is like, oh, what does he do? Like, what does he have him in right now? It's like, oh, he's choking him. It's like, how? Like, he's not even fully around his neck or anything. Like no, he's choking him. Like, you don't understand. Like, it's happening. Those type of things. Like, of course, it's a very violent sport, but that's what I like to see, as cynical as that sounds, right? You know what I mean? I like to see at the highest level these guys grappling, because a lot of these guys are like, you know, black belts, like 3rd-degree black belts, been training their whole lives in jiu-jitsu, you know, medals and wrestling, that sort of thing. So it's just fun to see those styles clash, especially on the ground for me. But yeah, also talking about your boy, Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland got the W over Michael. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It doesn't matter because he lost. That was a very interesting performance. I was not expecting that from Kevin Holland. What are your thoughts, though?
Sitting on my couch, and when Holland got dropped, I'm like, here we fucking go. Like, you talking all that shit, big mouth, and you get knocked down. And I was fully expecting him to, just get ground and pounded. And man, turn it around, messed about, got him in an arm bar, and it was over from there. And just the way he did it, it was. You saw it coming, but then when he fully got it locked in, the way he tried to spin around and just got in, it's over now. And kudos for how he didn't want to break it. He kind of looked at Herbie and was like, "You call this?" And then the guy Michael Heasel on Instagram, kind of upset about the early stoppage. Bro, did you want your arm to literally be snapped? Did you not want I
thought they said it did snap.
Apparently, it wasn't all the way.
Yeah.
But it looked like it was hanging for mine, and that's why I'm like, if you wanted to not have a right arm or whatever arm it was, that's up to you. But yeah, I was screaming, I was jumping around, I was so happy because it happened so quick. I was down on the floor and I was up here because he won, but that was fun. Fun fight.
Very fun fight. I can't wait to see what Kevin Holland does next because I think that he didn't really take a whole lot of damage in that fight, so. He can, and he likes to turn it around quick. So I foresee him getting back in there maybe by August. I can see him back in there.
He said he wants to take 304 if Connor's not fighting, and I was like, he said give me a call.
That's a whole nother thing. So apparently Connor might not fight, right? Michael Chandler. But apparently, I don't know. I mean, earlier this week, the news was that, they were taking down all the media promotion, all the advertisements. But as of yesterday and today, I mean, there's a little bit of optimism on, this fight might actually happen still. So we'll see what happens there with your boy Connor.
Real quick, the Paulo Costa Sean Strickland fight. Sean Strickland's out there marching. He's so frustrating to watch.
Oh my gosh.
Really, I was hate watching. Paulo Costa let me down. He should go into modeling instead of fighting at this point. That's all.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head right there. Marching. That's exactly what Sean Strickland was doing in that fight, and I don't understand. It puzzles me. I am perplexed. I find myself quite flummoxed, I might add, when I'm watching Sean Strickland fight these guys, and these guys just don't try to walk him down and clip him like Alex Pereira did. If you notice, if you go back and watch the fight between Sean Strickland and Alex Pereira, that was the last time that Sean Strickland got knocked out cold. Sean Strickland was doing that marching technique thing. You know what I mean? He's just kind of lifting a knee to go towards you, kind of fainting the front kick to the body. Also being able to check any kicks that way too. But Alex Pereira was able to time just perfectly as soon as he lifted that leg up to jump in with a left hook, right? And Sean Strickland, he's the type of guy, he spars all the time. He spars more than probably any other fighter on the roster. So he's used to just kind of, he fights like he's sparring, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's not going full speed. So when you get a guy like Alex Pereira who goes in there, he's going to go full speed on you, and that's what these guys don't do. They don't walk through his quote unquote pressure. I could see if Sean Strickland was like a big power puncher, he puts guys to sleep, but he literally has pillows for hands, right? He doesn't knock anybody out. He just kind of gets guys tired and wins by a close decision. That's really all that happens. So we'll see. It really speaks more to how the state of the UFC middleweight division. I made a short about that the other day. It's just, I hope it gets better. He's going to end up fighting the champion Dricus Duplessis again, who he lost to in their first matchup. I'm not really excited to see that matchup again. I'd rather see Sean Strickland fight Khamzat Chimaev if they could ever cross paths, because I know that Khamzat is going to bring it. He's going to make Sean fight, and I think that would be entertaining as hell to watch. So, yeah,
Strickland with a nice title defense of 0. K-Dog says, dudes are afraid of Strickland because of what he did to Izzy. Izzy didn't even look like himself. That was such a weird fight. He literally wasn't even throwing anything back. That was frustrating as hell to watch.
It was. Okay. So again, listen, if you got questions, drop them down below in the comments section. We're going to get to those as well after the fact. But listen, man, Jeremiah says literally pillow hands will be a problem. You're right. But I mean, Sean Strickland, he just doesn't hit hard. He doesn't even throw a lot of strikes. On top of not throwing hard strikes, he doesn't even throw a lot of strikes. So it's just, I don't know. And the thing that frustrates me, I'm gonna leave it here after this with Sean Strickland. The thing that frustrates me the most is that he spits in the face of the viewers at the end when, like, in the last 10 seconds of the fight, he'll just go completely crazy, start throwing like flying kicks and just like running at the guy, trying to throw everything. And it's like, bro, where was this energy the last 24 minutes and 50 seconds? You know what I mean? Like, it is baffling to me, and I really hope that he gets fraud checked by his next opponent, and so the UFC doesn't keep giving him these high level primetime fights, because I don't want to see him in 5-round fights. It's just it's a guaranteed 5 rounds, close decision.
It's get something to eat, use the bathroom, something like that.
Exactly. So let me see. K-Dog says here, Max Crosby trains with Sean Strickland, and he says Strickland is a dog. I mean, well, yeah. I mean,
you have to. You have to.
And Max Crosby is not a fighter either. I mean, he's probably gotten into some scraps, believe you me, for sure.
Looks like it.
But he's not a fighter, right? I mean, he looks at a guy like Sean Strickland. He's a professional. This is what he does at the highest level. I'm not saying that Sean Strickland is like a horrible fighter, because at the end of the day, I mean, he's winning these fights, and the guys are respecting his power. Right? He's whooping my ass, right? At the end of the day, so I'll say that Sean Strickland, of course, he's good, but I just don't like his fighting style. I'm not a fan. All right, we'll go ahead and end it with this one. We got a super chat donation. This one's coming from Max Offit. Thank you so much, Max. Dropping the 5 down in the chat to end us here on this episode 243 of the Purple Rain podcast. Like the video for Max, man. Like the video for Max. Says, is Trenton Simpson handed the job, or competition between him and Josh Ross? Oh yeah, he's not gonna be handed anything.
No,
he's not gonna be handed anything. I definitely think that our new defensive coordinator, Zach Orr, is going to take his time in evaluating that linebacking position and seeing who is going to be the best fit to go across from play next to Roquan Smith. Yeah. Of course, we think it'll be Trenton Simpson, but Josh Ross has shown things at certain points in his career, in his tenure with Baltimore, that would warrant him at least the opportunity, to compete for the position. So he's not going to be handed the job. No.
I'm right there with you. I thought Trent Simpson played well last game of the season, but if he has like a severe drop off, then obviously Josh Ross. But I think it's his to have. It's his, but not handed by any means. Josh Ross goes crazy, and Trent Simpson isn't looking his best. Best believe you see more of Josh Ross. How even Chris Board maybe, because he has familiarity with the Ravens.
Yeah, and Trenton Simpson, I will say this though, Max. I think that when it comes to like draft capital, right, and what we spent on a Trenton Simpson, we're probably going to favor starting him. So I think that'll be he'll get the nod if it's like close or something like that, right? He'll get the nod, but I do think that Trenton Simpson, I think he's hungry. I think he's got a motor on him. I think he's ready to go, man, and. I'm imagining now like a Roquan Smith, Trenton Simpson duo, where it's kind of like a big dog, little dog sort of dynamic. You know what I mean? Like you got the young, scrappy dog who just wants to put his nose in everything, and then you got the big dog who kind of cleans up all the messes on the back end, right? I feel like that's the type of dynamic we're going to get with a Roquan Smith and Trenton Simpson. He's going to be learning every step of the way from such a great linebacker in Roquan Smith, probably a top 2, maybe not 2 linebacker in this league, kind of pitter-pattering with Fred Warner of the 49ers there. But yeah. In short, again, Trenton Simpson, he's not going to be handed the job, but I hope that he does get the job.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
I am Malik Harrison too. Good point.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and leave it there for this episode 243 of the Purple Rain podcast. We only plan to go 45 minutes on this episode. Yeah. We went an hour, man. We just love talking to you guys. Is what we got to do, man. We got to get all of our segments and our points in for you guys. But make sure, again, you drop your questions down below in the comments section to wrap it all up. You can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain podcast, like you see below. You can follow me on X or Instagram at Sutton Def. I'm pretty much this everywhere you can find me. This guy over here, Simply AS10. You can find him on X at Simply AS10. You can find him on Instagram at simplyas10.prod. But most importantly, you can find him on YouTube just at Simply AS10. And then my personal favorite, I haven't mentioned in a while, but the TikTok. You know, I know you see me leaving the comments on your TikTok videos, man. I love the TikTok videos you post. So make sure you follow him on TikTok as well. He's putting out a bunch of good content on there. Some mic'd up content that you might not have ever seen before. He's got some nuggets.
There's some good ones on there. I love a good mic'd up segment.
Same. So we appreciate all the work you do, and we appreciate you watching this stream right now. If you're part of the hashtag replay gang, we appreciate you for tuning in. Listen, it's June. We know it's the dead of the off season. We know football is still a couple of months away, but you guys are still rocking out with us, and for that, we absolutely love you guys, the Rain Gang. Honestly, season is rolling around. I think giveaway season is coming back up, Alex. I think it's coming back up. So make sure you guys stay tuned. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe, like the videos, man, because we're going to be giving away some stuff coming up on the season here. Make sure you stay tuned to the channel. My name is Sutton Def, and with that being said, I'm going to let my guy Alex take us out.
Thank you for coming through episode 243 of the Purple Rain podcast. And as always, stay positive, test negative.
Yeah, and never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. This is an episode 243 of the Purple Rain podcast. We're going to catch you guys in the next one. Peace.